Minister, thank you very much for your remarks in the conference today. Can you tell us, from the perspective where you stand, what do you think is the greatest challenge to getting all of the African countries to cooperate towards the big ambitious goals that you have?
Well, the first difficulty that we did overcome was negotiating the protocol itself on very sensitive areas such as movement of data, seamless payment systems. Every country wants to use its own payment system. But these are just two examples of how we were able to overcome the challenge. I think the big difficulty will be in implementation. That's always where the big challenge is. But I am confident that where we focus on what are to be the benefits of the protocol on digital trade, especially from the point of view of inclusion, financial and digital inclusion, I am convinced that governments will work with us to implement the protocol in the shortest space of time. Obviously, we will have to take certain steps, such as building capacity at institutional level, government level, private sector level. We will have to raise awareness. We will have to undertake very, very strong advocacy. It will not implement itself. We will have to do the hard work for implementation of the protocol. And we stand ready to work with partners around the continent and around the world to make sure that we start the implementation.
Do you feel that the will is there?
The political will certainly is there. 48 countries have adopted the agreement, the protocol. That's a demonstration of political will as well as legal commitment. So I believe that, as I mentioned during my remarks, we were able to overcome the most difficult negotiating issues, and we reached consensus on them. It's not easy for 48 countries to agree on movement of data when there are national security concerns involved, but we did agree. So I believe that we have the political will. We just have to invest in implementation of the protocol.
One last question. What one word would you use to describe the state of DPI in Africa today?
We can improve it. We can improve it through mobilizing private sector investment, working with governments. But it's not really, I think the benefits really, and we see this in specific examples on the African continent, the benefits for the private sector for itself to invest in DPI. We've seen it with banks. We've seen it with fintechs that have invested their own balance sheets in DPI in Africa. And our role is to establish the appropriate regulatory framework for that to happen. And in the absence of the protocol on digital trade, there was no appropriate regulatory framework for that investment to happen. So I don't expect that governments will be investing huge amounts of money. I expect that the private sector will seize the advantages and invest.
Very good.
Good.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.